Nicole Baxley, and I'm going to be doing my presentation on Baudrillard's three simulacra and how they relate to Disneyland. So the first order simulacra, just to kind of go over a review, is when one knows that it is fake and understands that the object is a place marker for reality. So in this photo, or in this painting, we can see that it is obviously not the actual woman, but what she represents. And so that is going to be forced order because we know it's fake, but it is a place object. Okay, second order simulacra starts to distort reality, and the line between real versus fake begins to be blurred. In the photo that we can see on the left, she is not photoshopped. On the right, she is photoshopped, but it is rather convincing. And so we know that it's real because it is a photo, but we also don't know if what parts are fake because it is photoshopped. Moving on to the third order simulacra, that's when there's no distinction between real and fake, and it moves into the stage of hyperreal. So in the photo here, that woman looks obviously very real, but that is actually a robot. And so there is no way to tell between real and fake, and so the hyperreal comes into play. So now getting on to Disneyland, I will argue that Disneyland is its own society, so it does have to do with this project. And if you do not believe me, please go to Disneyland and ask cast members, talk to the visitors, talk to the characters, everybody like that. Disneyland is its own society and it is a home to many. So Baudrillard argues that Disneyland is fake, and I actually agree because after all, Fantasyland is the name of a land, and so it is a fantasy. And so, like I have on here, we all know Baudrillard believes that Disneyland is beyond fake, but let's see how he would interpret different parts of the park. So relating to his first order simulacra, we can see the Matterhorn, and that actually is a real mountain in Europe. A lot of people are surprised when they hear that, but the Matterhorn is a placeholder for the actual Matterhorn. And obviously it's a placeholder because there are not bobsleds, and there hopefully is not a Yeti in the actual Matterhorn. The picture on the right shows the rivers of America, and so we also know that this is not actually the Rio Grande nor the Mississippi River, but we know that it's supposed to represent both. And if you didn't know that it's supposed to represent both as well as other rivers in America, now you do. Moving on to second order, that is when the lines start to be blurred between real and fake. So on the right-hand side, we can see Cars Land, which is new. And so the rocks are actually fake, and if you knock on them, you can tell that they are. If you do not, they obviously look very real, and so the reality and the fakeness starts to get blurred. On the right-hand side, we can see Avatar Land, which is in Orlando. Actually, it's not Avatar Land, but it's in Animal Kingdom. And so we can see that it does look very real, but obviously there are not floating boulders within reality. And so we can tell it is fake, but we don't know whether the plants are real. We don't know whether it's real rocks and just put in a certain position. And so that will be a second order simulacra. I'm going to give 3 different examples of third order. And so if you have not been to the Disneyland parks or ridden Indiana Jones, I am sorry, this might not make much sense to you. But in the ending scene, there is a boulder that rolls forward towards you, and there's Indiana Jones on a rope. And so what it feels like is you're moving backwards to avoid the boulder, and then at the last second, you go under the boulder itself. What's actually happening, which you can see here, is the entire room around you is moving. And so in reality, what's happening is you are staying in the exact same place. The boulder is only rolling about 10 feet to show that it does roll, but the entire room moves around you so it looks like you're going forward. If you've ever been in a car wash and in your car at the same time, it does look like you're moving, but in reality, you know you're not. Moving on to a different one on Indiana Jones. This is again third order. This update, or this part of the attraction, is no longer functioning, but what happened before, and if you've been on the ride when you were younger, there is an actual track, and every time it feels like you're going into a different door. The thing that is actually happening is, again, the entire room around you is moving, and so there's only one track lay, but because they can remove the entire room, it can either feel like you're going into the left door, center door, or right door. Once you go through those, it is different from every other door, but the only reasoning for that is lighting. And so again, your brain gets tricked and you don't know reality versus fake. So I'm going to talk about third order for children because most people know that there are not ghosts, and if they are, they definitely are not in the haunted mansion dancing around, although I wish they were. And so on the right, or on the left-hand photo, you can see how they do it. This is called the Pepper's Ghost effect, and to children this is very convincing because the animatronics are see-through, but in real life they are above and below you, and it is just the reflection in the glass in front of you that shows this. And so if you do believe in ghosts, which most children do, I definitely did, then you can see that this would be third order because you can't tell if it's reality or fake. And so I'm going to make my statement that I think tricking your brain into fake and hyperreal is not necessarily bad. Baudrillard argues that it always is bad, especially when we're talking about Disneyland and Los Angeles, but I think if it's in good fun and you can tell that some of it's fake, or you know that in reality it is a fantasy, different things like that, it is not a bad thing. And the happiness that Disneyland brings you is real happiness, and I think that's all that matters.